We bike. I can only imagine that on Sunday night, every time Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs wide receivers, running backs, and tight ends looked across the line of scrimmage, they kept saying to themselves, Mama, there go that man again.
That was big Sarge.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? You're tuned to Sports Talk with Big Sarge. I'm your host, Big Sarge. Make sure you follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports with Z at the end. Follow me on the tick and the talk at Big Sarge Media. Make sure you subscribe to the Texans Tailgate Talk podcast and Sports Talk with Big Sarge. Sports Talk with Big Sarge Media. It's all one word. Big Sarge Media. Texans Tailgate Talk. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. Because, we do everything for the gram. And make sure you're reading all my articles. I post them everywhere. What's going on, good people? As you can see, I am in a very, very festive and jovial mood. And the reason why, little Joe from Kokomo. What's up, Queen Tay? Senior Boblé. As you can see, I'm in very, very good spirits. And the reason why is because God blessed me with health. Oh, my goodness. God has blessed me with health. Just a real quick update on why you haven't seen me in a while. So I got sick, right? I got sick. And I developed acute bronchitis. And because of the bronchitis, which the crazy part about it is now I feel like I'm catching bronchitis once a year. It's like I never get sick throughout the first 10 months of the year. And then always around when the seasons change in Texas, because, in some places the seasons they start changing in March. But in Texas, it starts to get a little cooler and the seasons change in November. And around that time, my allergies started messing with me. I think within the last 3 years, I've had bronchitis twice. And so I caught acute bronchitis. And if you all remember, I told you all when I had bronchitis last time, I coughed so hard that I tore something on the left side of my body near my rib from coughing and sneezing so much. Well, this time around, I bruised a rib from coughing and sneezing so vigorously, so harsh. I mean, like it was real. It really hurt. And I'm gonna be honest with you. Even if I cough or I had to sneeze right now, if I had to do it right now, the first thing I'm gonna do is take my thumb and press it onto my rib to contain the pain. Because while they did help me get over bronchitis, I'm still dealing with a bruised rib. And so it was hard for me to talk sometimes. It was hard for me to to talk. I know that I wouldn't have been able to come on and do a podcast or anything like that or a show because it'd have been too much coughing and sneezing, and I wouldn't want you all to see me in pain. Many of you all who know me know that I don't go to the doctor unless I have to. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I do my checkups, whatever the case may be. But I'm one of those guys that I feel like, hey, man, if I got a little pain, I'm cool. I can deal with it. Well, I had to check myself into the ER. And when I had to check myself into the ER, it was wild. It was crazy because I was supposed to be in Phoenix, and I was supposed to be in in Phoenix on hold on for a second. Yeah, Caprello, I don't know who you are, but you got about one more comment before I kick you up out of here. We don't play those games over here, my guy. You save that for the oh yeah, that was it. Oh, you trying to test me to see, huh? Yeah. There you go, my guy. Yeah, banned. Anyway, um yeah. Get you about the paint. So anyway, I was supposed to be in Phoenix and San Francisco covering the Rockets for the Phoenix Suns and the Golden State Warriors, and I couldn't fly because I was the pressure from being on the air on the plane would have compressed me so bad and would probably it would have made this rib terrible. I'd have been on the pain. I'd have been on a flight in excruciating pain. So I was supposed to fly out that Monday morning, but I wasn't able to. But I was able to drive. At least I thought. And so I I was getting ready to get into the vehicle to head over to NRG Stadium for the Miko's press conference and the open locker room for the Texans. And before I got in the vehicle, I sneezed, and if I hadn't have been able to grab the handle on my truck, I probably would have face planted, and that would have been that would have been not been good. So I said, "Ah, man, I'm good. I'm good." So I get over there, and I'm in pain still. I'm still holding my rib, trying not to cough, trying not to sneeze. And my wife and I had discussed me going to the emergency room later on when she got off of work, which would have been around 6 p.m. time. So I'm like, cool. So I'm driving home after the press conference in the open locker room, and I'm on the phone with her and I'm talking, and I coughed unexpectedly, and I wasn't able to grab my rib in time, and it felt like I've never been stabbed before. That I think that's a good thing, but I've never been stabbed before, and it felt like somebody was taking a knife and just pushing it through my ribs. And so, um, with that being said, my wife heard me. I almost had an accident on the freeway. I went directly to the emergency room and they were able to take care of me. And so I've been healing from that, but now I'm back. Now I'm back. Now I'm feeling a whole lot better. And so here I am, right? Here I am. I can't make you any promises, but I damn sure gonna try to be here as much as I can because on the Texans tailgate talk, I mean, excuse me, on the Texans happy hour, I'll explain to you all some things that were revealed to me, especially moving forward into 2026. So I can imagine with the amount of pain, that that I was feeling from my rib, and it felt like I said somebody was just taking a knife and just slowly piercing me in my side. The amount of excruciating pain that I was feeling had to be exactly what some of those wide receivers, tight ends, running backs were feeling on Sunday night when the Houston Texans defeated the Kansas City Chiefs by a score of, what was it, 20-10? I can imagine that that's how they felt every time they had to take a hit from Texans defensive back Jalen Pitre. Because just like the title of this show says, Texas Swiss Army knife Jalen Pitre helps punish the Chiefs. It's one thing to be hit, but it's another thing to be hit repeatedly. Then it's another thing to be hit repeatedly and keep getting hit repeatedly, like in a violent manner. And I don't understand. I mean, I don't know if how many of you all on the in the chat right now has played a sport like football, but it's the equivalent to running into a brick wall at full speed over and over and over and over and over and over again. I won't forget. My wife and I were I think we were watching the game on. I think the Thursday night game between the Lions and the Cowboys, and we're sitting there watching the game, and my wife keeps hearing the hits. She's like, they hitting hard. I say they hit hard like that every game. I said, and these these are people who get paid and are willing volunteers to go out there and do this over and over again. I said, but football is a violent game. I wish some of you I could take some of you all into the locker rooms after the game and see how some of these players be moving after the game. When you all look at the injury report and you see limited or did not practice, some of those guys are just they're not practicing because they're letting their bodies heal, or they're getting themselves, they're recovering so they can play and so they can run into the brick wall at full speed on Sunday. So, but with that being said, hey, Jalen Pitre was knocking them motherfuckers out. I don't want to curse on here. I'm trying to do right. I'm trying to get into heaven, trying to go into 2026 as a better man, as a better person. But Jalen Pitre, goodness gracious alive, he hits, and he hits hard. He hits hard. He's violent. I've said this over and over again on this show. I've told this to Jalen Pitre in person. I've talked to the other Texans defensive players about this. Jalen Pitre is really a linebacker playing defensive back. So when the Texans go 3 linebackers and Jalen Pitre is still on the field, they're really like going 4 linebackers. Or when they're 2 linebackers with Jalen Pitre on the field, it's really like having 3 linebackers, because he plays the game so violently. And he doesn't avoid contact, and he's always seeking contact. And to have him near or around the line to help in the run game, but also be able to do what he's doing as far as playing in the pass game, it's one of those things where you're saying to yourself, hey, man, Jalen Pitre is really, really good at football. Remember now, he was the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year his last year at Baylor. Like Jalen Pitre, he doesn't get enough credit. And I know, sometimes he gets beat from that nickel corner position as far as coverage is concerned. Sometimes he doesn't make the plays, but there isn't a football player in the league right now that you could say makes every play. I don't think that you can go back in the history of the NFL and say this player made every play. There's going to be some plays he doesn't make. There's going to be some plays that people don't. That players don't make. So yeah, he's going to have the occasional, slip up here when it comes to coverage, or when it comes to stopping the run or whatever the case may be. But by the same token, Jalen Pitre is one of those guys where you just, man, he's one of those. Jalen Pitre is an old school football player. You know what? You know who Jalen Pitre reminds me of? Jalen Pitre reminds me of Troy Polamalu. That's who Jalen Pitre reminds me of. Jalen Pitre reminds me of Troy Polamalu, because Troy wasn't the best. I think Jalen Pitre's cover skills as far as in the pass game is better than Troy's. Troy wasn't the best, but he was good when you needed him to be. I think that Pitre's coverage skills is way better than Troy Polamalu's, but they have the same mindset. They have the exact same mindset, because Polamalu is one of those guys that will come downhill, come down in the running game and let you know that he was there. He always made his presence felt. And so I could see him. I could see, and I watch the same way that Jalen Pitre plays, and that's it. And like I said, his cover skills are way better than Troy Polamalu to me. But he also lets you know that he's there. Like he's really, 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 really good at letting you know that he is on the field. Now, you keep asking yourself, hey, Sarge, why do you keep repeating, letting them know that he's on the field, letting them know that he's on the field, letting them know that he's on the field? That's because last season, Jalen Pitre got hurt in week 12. I think it was in the Titans game in which he got hurt in week 12, in which he tore his pec and eventually had to go on the injured reserve. So that means that he missed the week 16 matchup against the Chiefs. He missed the AFC divisional game against the Chiefs. And not having him in those 2 games kind of shifted a lot, especially when in week 16, they also lost Jimmy Ward who would have been able to come from that safety position and slide into that nickel corner position that Jalen Pitre wasn't able to. I mean, that Jalen Pitre normally plays, but they also lost Jimmy Ward and they had to do a lot of shifting. Next thing you know, you've seen Kamari. This is the Week 16 matchup. You've seen Kamari in there a lot, and then in the divisional round, you've seen Miles Bryant in the nickel corner safety position. But they're not Jalen Pitre. And what I mean by they're not Jalen Pitre is Jalen Pitre has a different skill set. And you can see that when the Texans decided to move him to that in the beginning of the year, he was having some difficulties adjusting to the change because he had been playing safety for so long. But once he got it together, go back and look at a couple of those games. I know one was the Packers. Oh, it was the Packers. I think it was the Cowboys. And there was another game where Jalen Pitre either got a turnover or forced a turnover. I think it was in that Green Bay game where I don't think Azeez was playing in that game. Was it Azeez or was it Henry To'oTo'o that wasn't playing because I think it was one of those were out and Neville Hewitt was in. And I think on that first play, maybe the second play of the Packers game, Jalen Pitre forced tipped the ball and Neville Hewitt got an interception. I got to go back. Somebody, can somebody in the chat check that for me in that game against the Packers last season? But not having Jalen Pitre in the lineup in Week 16 and in the AFC divisional round against the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead, Jihad Field, whatever that place is called. Look, I think it's called Jihad Field. I'm going to call it Arrowhead. Not having him in the lineup was huge. And if you don't believe me, just look at what he did on Sunday night. You remember in that AFC divisional game, Travis Kelce had 7 receptions for 117 yards. 7 receptions. Let me make sure I got my math right. 7 receptions for 117 yards. And I think he had a touchdown in that game as well. Are you saying to yourself, well, Sarge, what does that got to do with Jalen Pitre? Because he plays nickel corner. He's not really on Travis Kelce a lot. Well, what that does is with having him in the game, knowing that he's able to hold his position, that means that those linebackers can focus and do what they need to do. Sunday, Travis Kelce only had 1 catch for 8 yards. And that's because those linebackers were able to focus on what Travis Kelce was being able to do and not worrying about what the slot is doing. They know that when Jalen Pitre is on the field, he's going to do his part. He's going to hold down whatever spot that he's in. And that's supporting the run game and that's being able to cover his man. And so now they're able to hone in their focus on Travis Kelce, knowing that Patrick Mahomes wants to go to him a lot. Like I said, the last time they played, Travis Kelce destroyed the Texans defense for 7 catches and 117 yards and a touchdown. But this time around, Travis Kelce wasn't as effective. I think he had 1 catch for 8 yards. And on that drop, let's just talk about it. He had a huge drop that led to an Azeez Al-Shaair interception. And a lot of people, some people are saying, hey, he dropped the ball. Some people are saying that it was a bad pass. Now, Travis Kelce knew that the Texas defense was hitting. And if you go back and look, the ball hits his hands, but you could tell he's kind of looking at Azeez coming from one side and Miles Bryant coming directly onto him. And the Texans had been hitting. The Texans had been smashing those wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs the entire night. And so by the end of the game, Travis Kelce knew what time that Texans defense was on. And so, yeah, you're not used to seeing him drop a pass like that. You're not used to seeing Patrick Mahomes maybe making a pass like that. But in the back of his mind, he's thinking to himself, hey, I'm about to get hit. And I'm about to get hit hard because they've been hitting hard all game long. And you know who set the tone for that? Jalen Pitre. Jalen Pitre set the tone for what the game was going. I think that Jalen Pitre came into the game it said, hey, this is what I'm on right now. Hey, I'm on this. This is what I'm on right now. And having him in the game, I think that if the Texans have him in the game in week 16, and if the Texans have him in the game in the AFC division round, this game goes totally different. Totally different than what the outcome was. And the Texans didn't get blew out last season, but they could have won at least one of those matchups that they had against the Chiefs last year. But he came in and he set the tone. But here's the funny thing about Jalen Pitre, right? He doesn't like to talk about himself. And if you're following me on social media, Big Sarge Sports the Z on Twitter and on Instagram and on TikTok at Big Sarge Sports, Big Sarge Media, excuse me. You will see, I'm going to put out a clip where he was asked a question about setting the tone, and he talked about every other player except himself. Kalen Bullock had to say, so you didn't have a pick? Oh, yeah, man, I had a little, tip pass to myself or whatever the case may be. He always wants to give the credit to everybody else except himself. And that's the way that he plays the game, because in his mind, in Jalen Pitre's mind, having talked to him on numerous occasions, it's always about, I'm just going out there doing my job. I don't need no pat on the back for doing my job. I get paid to do this. And the Texans made sure that I was paid nicely to be able to do my job. So I don't need the pats on the back, and I don't need all the compliments for me doing my job, because I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And so, as I digress, having him back on that field was on Sunday night against the Chiefs was something that the Texans needed, something that Jalen Pitre needed. And especially, of course, and I'm not just talking about the Texans needed as the win, but the Texans need to have him back on the field, knowing that they could do what they needed to do. Matt Burke could be able to call the game differently from a defensive coordinator position. D'Amico Ryans could be able to call it, differently. Dino Vasso, the cornerbacks coach for the Texans, knew that he could do, take more risk and do a little bit more with having Jalen Pitre back on the field. And so, like I said, I think that game, those two games last season, would have went a little bit different if he was on the field. And here's what Jalen Pitre had to say about just being on the field on Sunday night. All right. We having some technical difficulties again. All right. That's okay. I know how to do this. Give me a second, y'all. Let's do it this way. I don't know why it want to be like that, but here we go. You didn't get an opportunity to play here in week 16. You didn't get a chance to play here in the divisional game. Was it a little extra motivation for you coming in here?
It definitely
tonight?
is, like it's always motivating to get out there with my teammates and do something. But like Aziz said earlier, like I remember watching that game, being out with my pec. So I wanted to make this one for sure a special moment.
And so you can see where he said he wanted to make that a special moment. It was a special moment for him being on the field, because he's one of those players that last season, watching the Texans lose, especially in the AFC division round, knowing that he wanted to be on the field, like that hurt him. And I don't mean it hurt him physically, but mentally, because he's out there and he wanted to be with his teammates, wanted to be out on the field with his teammates to help set the tone. And I was laughing on my way to the airport on early Monday morning, because a thought hit me in the back of my mind, right? Speaking of hitting, a thought hit me in the back of my mind. And I said to myself, because I kept replaying his presence on the field, knowing that I was preparing for this show, I kept thinking about his presence on the field and the way that he, when he hit Rashee Rice, that not only sent a message to Rashee Rice that, hey, bro, I'm here and I'm here all day. That sent the message to Juju Smith-Schuster, and that sent a a message to Hollywood Brown. Those are the other two Kansas City Chiefs wide receivers, to let them know, hey, man, keep your head on a swivel because this dude is out here lurking and he's going to hit you. And side note, hey, so what's this guy's name? Is he like a former? Hold on. Hey, chat, y'all help me out, man. Y'all give me a second. I got to look this up, right? Because I really don't like talking out the side of my neck. And I don't really like talking about people. But this guy right here, Mitchell Schwartz. Y'all can clip this up and y'all can put it out if you want to. Doesn't matter to me. I don't care. I don't know. Mitchell Schwartz could walk in my house right now, and I would think that he would probably be here to fix the stove or something, or check the air filter, or be the maintenance guy. And that's no knock on him, man, because Mitchell Schwartz is a large human being, 6'5", 320 pounds. So I'm not disrespecting him like that, but I would think that, hey, bro, I don't know you from a can of paint. I can't recognize you. Honestly, I remember your name, but I don't really remember you. So with that being said, hey, Mitchell Schwartz, I know you played the game. I know you played the game at the highest level. Hold on, let me check. You were a 3-time second-team All-Pro. You was a first-team All-Pro. You won a Super Bowl when you played with the Kansas City Chiefs after playing with the Cleveland Browns. I'm not here to disrespect you or your career. I'm not here to disrespect you as far as your opinion is concerned, because you played the game at the highest level. But God damn, can you stop crying about the hit? The hit was a clean hit. You know how I know, Mitchell? Because after the game, I got a chance to talk to some people higher up about the hit. The hit was clean. They've shown you on numerous occasions on the still shot. You're looking at it in live action, and it looks like it's illegal to you. They've shown you on how many angles do they have to show you that Jalen Pitre led with his shoulder? But he hit so hard that Rashee Rice's head snapped back. He hit so hard that he knocked him off his feet. So Mitchell, why are you constantly complaining? It's Tuesday and you're still complaining about that hit. Now, I could see if that hit caused the Kansas City Chiefs to lose the game because you felt like that there should have been a penalty call. But they lost 20-10, Mitchell. Even if you give them the yardage for what you consider a dirty play, the Chiefs still lose, bro. Just tip your hat to the Houston Texans defense. Tip your hat to the Houston Texans team and move the hell on. Why are you still crying and complaining, talking about this is a dirty hit that Jalen Pitre put on Rashee Rice when it wasn't? It was a clean hit. Hey, just for the record, Mitchell, even some of the players from the Kansas City Chiefs said that it was a clean hit. They said it was a hard hit. It was a violent hit, but it was a clean hit. So please stop bitching, whining, crying, and complaining about the hit, because it was clean. It was legal. All Jalen Pitre did was knock the hell out of Rashee Rice. Now, with that being said, I have a message, right? You can clip this up and you can send it to him too. All right, hey, look, y'all know me. If I say it, I'm gonna stand 10 toes down on it. Hey, Juju, Hollywood, Rashee. Hey, maybe y'all need to get in the weight room. Maybe y'all need to get in the weight room and off of TikTok. Maybe you need to get your weight up. Maybe you need to get stronger. Maybe you need to get with the strength and conditioning coach from the Kansas City Chiefs instead of making TikToks, instead of being on TikToks. However, whatever latest TikTok craze they got going on, hey, maybe you should get into the weight room. I digress. Feels good to be back. It really does. It does. And I ain't got nothing else for y'all. I just came on here to make sure that I talked about. I just made sure. I just wanted to make sure that I came on here and I talked about Jalen Pitre being the missing piece for the Houston Texans in the last two games between the last two meetings last season against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, you ain't gotta take my word for it because you may say, "Hey man, Sarge just over there, blah 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 blah." Side note, now Fred Oville, that was just I live by a train track, so that was the train that came at the right time. That was amazing. That really was amazing. But you don't have to take my word for how important Jalen Pitre was in the Texans lineup. You don't have to take my word for saying that him being back for the Texans was very important. I mean, just listen to what Texas edge rusher Danielle Hunter had to say. I knew that was going to happen, but that's okay because I'm ready for it. This time I'm ready for it. You did me like that against the with the Pitre. Now you're trying to do that with me, but I'm ready for you. Here we go. What's the difference in having Jalen Pitre in the game with you all?
Man, our defense, man, like I said, guys are so disciplined. Petrie's he's a plus. Like everybody, no matter who goes out there, just do the job, execute the game plan, and the outcome is always going to
Outcome is always going to be good. Like I said, you ain't got to take my word for it. You just heard Danielle Hunter say it. You ain't got to take my word for it. You heard Jalen Pitre say how good it felt to be back on the field in battle. You ain't got to take my word for it. The proof is in the pudding. Go back and look at the game. Go back and look at the game. Go back and look at him defending the pass, tipping the ball up in the air, and then catching the ball for interception. You ain't got to take my word for it. Just go back and look at how he put that hit on Rashee Rice. Boy, there was some funny memes coming out about that hit on Rashee Rice about hitting objects at full speed. I'm not going to get into that because I don't want to talk about Rashee Rice and his legal battles and his legal issues that he went through as far as that car accident was concerned. I'm not going to get into that, but boy, when I tell y'all that there was some funny memes aimed his way about objects being hit at high speed, good Lord. Good Lord. All right. Let me do it like this. I'm going to end the show here, right? I'm going to end the show here. You know what? I'm not. I was about to, but I'm not. Y'all know how we do it. Let's hop into this god dang on chat. What's going on, chat? Hey, I missed y'all a lot. Let me see what y'all got going on over here. See ya, Bubbly. Hey, what's going on, Queena? Tay, what it do? J-Rock. It has been a while. Illy Woogie, what's going on? Showtime 409. Welcome back, man. I see you, Bubbly, say them ribs on tenderism. Hey, what's up? I'm him 1911. What's going on, Divine Nine, brother? Let me see. Ash and Knuckles. Brandon, what's good? What's up, Oville? Brandon Shelvin, what's going on? You did not just use your real life name. Hey, wait. Hey, Bill. Okay, so once again, I gotta tell you all this again. For those of you all don't know, right? Oville is my frat brother. He's my chapter brother in Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated, Eta Gamma chapter, Prairie View A&M University, right? Bill made me. And for those of you all who know anything about, the Divine Nine and know anything about Greek life, Bill made me, right? Bill is my frat brother. Bill is my chapter brother. Bill seen me while I went through my process. That's all I want to use it. Bill, I got to use that. I know the statute of limitations has run out, but I still feel like I just got to go process. So he said, you did not just use your real life pain to introduce them hitters on D. You gotta love it. This boy gave the class. Appreciate that. Blast off entertainment. What's going on? Let me see what Tay had to say. Hey, Sarge, I know Pitre was a part of the Chiefs uniform staff. He was out there folding their uniforms with. Tay, you ain't lying. Tay, you ain't lying. Oh man. Pac-Man Chomps, what's going on? In the life of Kobe 791, what's going on? Let me see. What else we got in here? Drum 7132, what's going on? Let me see. Tay said the way it is out there here, she made those receivers second guess catching it and opting to protect themselves. Exactly. Pitre could change the way teams build defense. He gives Miko a lot of flexibility. Exactly. Big DQ. Yeah, that Guardian cap make him more intimidating for some reason. Hey, somebody said, hey, how you out there getting your head knocked off by a dude in a Guardian cap? Hey, look, maybe the Guardian cap is to protect the receivers more than it is to protect Jalen Pitre. And let me say this, right? Let me say this before I continue reading the comments. So one of the real reasons why Jalen Pitre is wearing that Guardian cap is for one, to protect himself from getting another concussion. But two, the way Jalen Pitre got his concussion, or excuse me, the way that Jalen Pitre found out he had a concussion was different than the normal, the normal concussion that you get when you're playing football, because he suffered a concussion in the same game that CJ Stroud suffered his concussion. And we know we watched CJ get hit and we could see the cause of Stroud's concussion. We didn't see the cause of Jalen Pitre's concussion. Nobody really knew that he was in concussion protocol until they announced it. And what Pitre said was when he got home, he started to feel concussion-like symptoms. And so he self-reported that something wasn't right. And when he reported that, they brought him in for test evaluation. They realized he had a concussion that kept him out the same amount of time that CJ Stroud was kept out. He missed 3 games just like Stroud missed 3 games. But that's one of the scariest things, not playing with the concussion, not knowing that you have a concussion. And like I said, he didn't get home. I mean, he didn't find out that he had a concussion until he got home. And that's when he started to feel the symptoms, and he self-reported. And so I think that it's very smart that he wears that Guardian cap in order to prevent any other thing from happening. And hey, look, hey, Kobe, yeah, I think it does too. Can't nobody change my mind when I say Pitre put Rice to sleep briefly when he folded him like a polo button down. Oh, I can't wait to clip these up so I can let people see. Pitre hit the field and said, South Seal for Leah. Now, listen, for those of you all who are joining this show who is not from Houston or the surrounding areas, right? What Sia Boble is saying right now is something that's very it was a a lyric that was made very popular on a DJ Screw gray tape, like the gray tape. Hey, Bobole, who said that? Was it who said that? It was on actually it came off a gray tape and then it was said again on Bang Screw with Big Mo. You know, all I want to do is bang screw in the in the dirty third, the city of Syrup, bang screw. All I want to do. It was on that because somebody said, and if it's something, it's something in South Ceophalia. So what South Ceophalia is, that means south side, south side, right? Not south, but south side for life. So I can't remember who said it on the Great Tape first, and then I know it was repeated on Bang Screw, South Ceophalia, because Jalen Pitre is from the southwest side of Houston. Right, that's exactly what we're talking about. Chiefs wide receivers had 5 uncharacteristic drops that I believe should have been attributed to the way that defense was hitting. Yes, because you already know, right? You already know what you're going to get from. You already know that Will Anderson Jr. is going to hit you hard. You already know that Danielle Hunter is going to hit you hard. You know that Azeez Al-Shaair is going to hit you hard. And then you add in Henry To'oTo'o is going to hit you hard. And then you add in the fact that Jalen Pitre is roaming around that line of scrimmage, roaming around in the middle of the field, waiting for something to cross into his path so he can impose his will on all those players. And I'm going to say this. So Travis Kelce had one catch for 8 yards, right? He had one catch for 8 yards. And that one catch, of course, for 8 yards was insignificant. That came against when he was when Henry To'oTo'o was in coverage. But let me tell you the impact that Jalen Pitre has when he's in the game. Like we talked about in the divisional round when Travis Kelce went off and, after the game, Taylor Swift and blah, 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 right? I was so happy. And then I think the next game he laid an egg. But with that being said, you see the way that the linebackers were able to play him differently, just like I said early on in the show. You seen how they were able to play him differently. So having Jalen Pitre back in the lineup had a direct impact on the way that Henry would be able to play Travis Kelce coming out of the, coming off the line of scrimmage or wherever they want to put him or how they wanted to use him effectively in the middle of the field or him being able to get somewhere near where those linebackers were. You could tell that having Jalen Pitre back into the lineup helped those linebackers in coverage and also helped the safeties up top. Let me see. Later on the Texans happy hour, we're gonna talk about having Kamari Lassiter back in the game too. Hold on for 1 second. Time stamping this. You see what well, first of all, hey, shout out to Sean Supertech 3861. Thank you for being on time. That's an inside joke, y'all. He said that's why they got rid of CJ Gardner-Johnson. You don't disrespect JP. Miko isn't having that. Let me briefly address this because you're 1000% correct. Without getting into the minutia of what was being said in the locker room, without getting into the minutia of some of the things that were said by CJ Gardner-Johnson, and I'll have this conversation with him respectfully. No disrespect meant towards CJ Gardner-Johnson, but one, watch how the defense played after they let him go. Watch what was going on. Go back and watch some of the games in the first 3 games when they lost their first 3 games, right? When the Texans lost their first 3 games with CJ Gardner Johnson in the lineup, in the defensive lineup, and then watch what happened after he left. Now, of course, the offense was still having their issues in those first three games. They lost those games. They were still in those games. They, lost one with the Dare Ugumbawale fumble. And they lost one with the uncharacteristic fumble by Nico Collins. They could have potentially won 2 of those 3 games that they lost. Well, they could have went 3-0, even with the way that they lost that game to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I want you to go back and I want you to look at how the defense has changed after CJ Gardner Johnson was released. And I'm saying that to say this. If you go back and you look, you'll see that some of the things that were happening on defense was because CJ Gardner Johnson was not in the right place. He was not in the right place. He was freestyling. He was doing a lot of things on his own. And that Houston Texans defense is a unit. They are a unit that plays together, and they are a unit that, hold on one second. Let me see something, y'all. Y'all gonna have to just deal with this. I'm back, y'all. So y'all just give me a second. Let me see something. Oh, that's Kamari talking about. Let me see if I could find this. I'm gonna do this right now, and I know this is very unprofessional, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Let's see if I can find what Kamari said. Hold on, let me see. This defense is special. Now, and I'm only doing this because because it was brought up. Normally, if I'd have known I was going to talk about this earlier, and this would have probably been a clip that I would have had later on when I did the Texas Happy Hour. I would have had this already clipped up, but since it was brought up about CJ Gardner Johnson, and this isn't Kamari talking about CJ Gardner Johnson. This is Kamari talking about how they move as a unit, and that's why I just said what I said about after, if this is this Texans defense is one moving part. And anytime anything is out of sync with that one moving part, it throws the entire thing off. It's the equivalent to when you have your car and your car, moves, or your vehicle, let me just say your vehicle, when everything is going right, it's perfect, right? But, if you have a tire, now what does that do? That changes how your vehicle, it runs effectively, or whatever the case may be, until you change the tire. Or, if you have an engine issue, the car won't run the vehicle won't run effectively. So I asked Kamari about how they play. I mean, how they move as a unit. And here's what he had to say. Let me see if I can put this closer to the microphone. This defense is a special unit, Kamari. How are you all always on the same page like that?
Whenever you run a bunch of guys that just want to go do the right thing and want to go out there and make plays, it's easy. So whenever 5 makes a play, that makes me, CB, Sting want to make a play. Whenever Will gets a sack or Neil gets a sack or Frank gets a sack, that makes us want to go cover harder. Oh, we keep covering like that, they will get another sack. Or the quarterback might make an errant throw, then it's our turn. So it's like whenever you're playing with guys who want to go out there and make plays, it makes you want to go harder. How was it?
And so you heard what he said? That wasn't happening in the first 3 games. And so you cannot freestyle on this defense and not do your part. I mean, you even heard Danielle Hunter said earlier, "Hey, look, when we're all on the same page, doing all the same thing, everybody doing their job. That's how makes us a very good defense. That's why they're the number one defense in the league for a reason." And CJ Gardner Johnson was freestyling, doing a lot of his own thing, and then he was doing a lot of his own thing, coming back and saying different types of things and disparaging type things towards not only his teammates, but as towards the defense as a whole, as the team as a whole. So yeah, they had to get him up out the paint. Uh we're gonna help we're gonna need some help for Woody Sarge, not change so we can't keep running him like that. Yeah, I think then they brought in they just signed that running back that they got from the who went to Missouri, who was on the Niners roster, the Jags roster, right? And I think they just got him from the Jags. And so I'm gonna be honest with you, uh, y'all gonna laugh at me. Y'all might laugh at me when I say this, right? But I honestly and truly believe that if Chubb is going to be out for an extended amount of time, and we won't find that out until Wednesday, I honestly and truly believe that Dare Ugabawale can be that third down back that you need, or that back to give, um, or that back to give Woody Marks a breather. I understand, I understand how people don't want, Dare in the game, but Dare is a really efficient running back. He runs hard. He can catch just like Woody can catch. Like there's a scenario where I could see both of them in the backfield at the same time, and both of them being able to go out in the pass route. Like a lot of people are going to talk about that Dare fumble in the Rams game. That was the Rams game, if I'm not mistaken, right? He fumbled in the Rams game. And I even came on this show and said, I don't have anything against Dare. I just don't know why he was in the game at that period in that time, and why you're going to him instead of going to some of the wide receivers who are better equipped in that type of situation, right? And so I'm not taking anything away from the fact that Dare did have that uncharacteristic fumble. But I will say this: if you're going to if you're going to be without Chubb for an extended period of time, Dare at this point of the season can be very effective. Dare also knows how to run behind an offensive line that you know sometimes may not win every matchup. If you go back and look at that 5-yard run that he had after Woody went out of the game, Dare recognized and seen that hole quickly and put his head down and got to where he need to be. And let me see. Y'all know how we do this. I'll just go ahead and do it. Since we're right here, getting us back on for old time's sake. Let me see. Here we go. Nope. Let's look at it from this view. All right, y'all. Let me share this screen with y'all. Hold on. Let me share this screen and share screen. Here we go. All right. Let's do it like this. You see, Dare puts his foot in the ground. Look at what he does. He realizes that where he wants to go is closed off, right? Where he wants to go is closed off, and there is a defender right here in the gap, right? So where he wants to go is not there. What does Dare do? He put his foot in the ground and turns back up into the hole that was created by Trent Brown and by Blake Fisher. See that? Let's look at it from another way. Watch it from this way. You see, where he wants to go is closed off. Watch where he comes back to. Finds the crease, puts his head down, and gets to where he needs to be. And so let's watch it one more time. Right here, everything is closed off. He uses his vision and his skill to be able to cut back and get to where he needs to be. Let me see something. All right, while I'm here, I want to show you all. I was gonna put this out on social media, but I'm gonna do it right here just for y'all. Just for y'all, because I want y'all to see something. I want y'all to see something that I seen and something that you all may have seen as well, but wasn't talked about as a lot. Hold on. Let me see one more thing, and then I'm gonna get up off here because I got to get myself ready to get some things done before the Rockets have practice. The Rockets have practice today, so I got to be over at their practice facility. And Jabari Smith Jr. has a charity event tonight. Y'all, I want to show y'all something. Let me show y'all something. I want y'all to see something. Let me see something. Okay, right? Okay. Dang, hold on one second. I don't even know where that time. What I can't even time. Somebody, hey, can somebody look at the time and put it in the comments and timestamp this for me so I can write it down so I can clip it up later on and give it to everybody else? But you all are going to get this first. All right, so I know that some people have a hidden agenda about, well, let me take that back. It's not even hidden anymore because with with everybody being able to have access to social media, everybody being able to have access to a free account, a lot of people just put out what they want to put out, no matter whether, I don't even know if some people proofread their tweets or TikToks comments or whatever. I don't know if people actually take into consideration what they're about to put out into the atmosphere when they tweet it or put it on IG or TikTok or Facebook. I don't know if some people actually proofread, or they just say, hey man, this is what I'm thinking. I'm just gonna put it out there. That's why sometimes I don't like having conversations with people, because I'm like, the more I talk to you, the dumber I feel. And so I just don't want to have this conversation. Like, I don't want to insult your intelligence to your face. So how about we just cordially uh, agree to go our separate ways? Or how about I just mute you? Or how about I just block you, because I'm not going to give you my energy like that, my time. We've talked about that on numerous occasions, that time is the most valuable possession that a human being owns. And once you lose it, it's gone. Once you lose it, it's gone. You can't get time back. So that's why I just keep on moving. But there's this narrative out there about CJ Stroud and how, oh man, he should be blah, 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 blah. I don't like CJ, blah, 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 blah. We should have Davis Mills in there, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I get that. Whatever. And let me preface my statement by saying this. I am not saying your opinion is wrong. It's your opinion. It's just not ours. Like, it belongs to you. It don't belong to us. I can disagree with it just like you disagree with my opinion. I think that that's what makes for a healthy conversation and debate, when you're able to have your own opinion, and the discussion or the discourse that you're having with either one person or multiple people who may not agree with what you're saying, and you may not agree with what they're saying. You still can say, hey man, I respect your opinion, I just disagree with it. Too many times, especially with the invention of social media on Beyonce's internet, too many times people think that their opinion is fact, their opinion is law. And no, bro, it's just your opinion. It's just how you feel. And you can't get mad because other people don't feel the way you feel. You can have your opinion all day. If you want to talk facts, that's where you can get into the right or the wrong, the facts. But when you just have your opinion, you just have your opinion. So there's um a certain group of people out there, a certain group, especially of some Texans fans who just don't like CJ, who just don't believe that CJ is uh, a good football player. And I really want to say, hey man, I respect your opinion. I just disagree with it. And I think that it's silly, but it's yours. Even on this play I'm about to show you right now, there was some people out there that said that CJ didn't do anything. This is the 53-yard catch and run that Nico Collins had in the game on Sunday night against the Kansas City Chiefs. They said, hey man, CJ Stroud didn't really do nothing. It was the yards after catch by Nico that made this play look like it was. And see, when you have that opinion, then that's cool. Until somebody comes with the facts and disprove your opinion. And then at that point, you should just shut the hell up and move on. I want y'all to watch this play, right? I just want you to watch this play. What is going on? I don't know what's going on with my computer today, y'all. It is acting funny. My internet is messing up. Don't worry. I'll get right back to it. Y'all give me 1 second. We'll get right back to it. Here we go. Okay. Yeah, y'all give me 1 second. I can get it. Ain't no problem. You ain't bothering me. We're gonna get right back to it. I know exactly where it is. Talk to Nico after the game about this catch too. It's on my social media. Here we go. Let's share this one more time. All right. For those who said, hey man, let me see if it's working now. Here we go. For those of y'all who said, hey man, CJ didn't do nothing on this play. It was all Nico. Hey, let's just watch. Right here. You see how CJ is rolling out? You see the amount of defenders that are coming at him? Now watch this. This is the right here. Right here. For those who said CJ didn't do nothing, how many quarterbacks you think can make this throw? How many quarterbacks in the league do you think can do this? CJ is on the run, on the move, trying to avoid 3 defenders. Look at how he throws the ball. He's not even set. This is just, hey, I've got to get this ball out by any means necessary. Nico did a great job of coming back to the ball. But I don't think that people realize that this play ain't as easy as it looks. Look at this. CJ is coming and he has to damn near throw, which he does, back across his body. Okay, maybe y'all need to see it from this way. Watch. You think that this is an easy throw? You think that CJ didn't do anything on this play? Look, he's throwing back across his body on the run. And yes, Nico did a hell of a job to come back. But for CJ to even be this way, keeping his eyes down the field while trying to avoid being sacked, while trying to avoid not turning the ball over. Look, these defenders in a high pursuit. Can't drop it off right here because the defensive back drops back into coverage right here on, is that Woody? May have dropped, that may be Woody. But look at CJ. He doesn't even He can't set his feet to make this throw because if he sets his feet, he's going to get plastered. And he's not going to be able to get what he needs on the pass. Look at this. How many quarterbacks in the league can make that throw? I don't get it. I don't understand it, y'all. I don't understand it. I don't understand it where the discourse comes from. And does CJ play? Did CJ play a perfect game on Sunday? No. Was CJ as effective as he could have been in the second half? No. The third quarter, the defense changed. And Spags was sending the house. CJ didn't have time to even read the field because there were so many defenders so quick in his face. Texans couldn't do anything. They made the necessary adjustments that they needed to do in the fourth quarter, and they won the game. But don't tell me or don't talk to me about CJ not being a good quarterback. And I'm going to say this with all due respect. With all due respect to Davis Mills. I have nothing against Davis Mills. I've watched Davis Mills take every snap since he was drafted by the Houston Texans. Davis and CJ are on two different levels, with CJ being here and Davis being here. I'm saying that respectfully based off the talent level and from what I have observed from watching. You know, like I just said, I've watched Davis play every snap. I've watched CJ play every snap. And if we're keeping it a buck, if Davis would have played to the level of where the Texans needed him to be, then they would have never had to draft CJ. And so don't get me wrong. I think that Davis Mills, let me say this. I think that Davis Mills has learned a lot from his time with the Houston Texans. I think that in year 5, the game has slowed down for him. That's why he was able to keep the ship afloat until CJ got back. I think that Davis Mills did exactly what he needed to do to hold down the fort until CJ returned. I'm not knocking Davis. I'm not knocking his skill set. I'm not knocking. And I'm gonna tell you like this. I've been and Davis Mills knows this. I've talked to him about it. He knows I've been one of his biggest critics, because what I watch in practice and some of the plays I seen Davis make in practice wasn't translating to the games. And I'm saying to myself, I know he can play the position. And I've said this on numerous occasions for years. I've said it on this platform on numerous occasions. Davis Mills, when he doesn't think and just plays the game, he's a very, very good quarterback. But when he starts to think too much and uses his mind too much, then he feels like he has to make the perfect pass or he has to make the perfect play instead of just going with the feel. Sometimes the feel of the game is better than thinking things through. Hey man, let me just go with my natural instinct. When Davis Mills goes with his natural instinct, he is a very, very, very good quarterback. But when he starts to overthink and starts to think too much about, can I make this throw? Should I make this throw? Then that's when he has his difficulties. In those 3 games that he played when CJ was out, due to concussion protocol. I seen Davis Mills make some plays where I'm saying to myself, that's how he should play every time he's in the game. Hey man, don't think about it, just do it. Go at your natural instinct. And then when you come to the sideline and they ask you, hey, what did you see? Tell them exactly, hey, look, I seen such, and I tried to make the play. It just didn't work out that way. And so with that being said, and I see that a lot of people are dropping this in the chat, CJ being able to take a step back. And unfortunately, it was because he was in concussion protocol. You never want to see anybody have to be injured like that. But I think CJ was able to see the offense in a different light and a different perspective than what he's seeing on the field. Like seeing it on the field, then going and watching it on tape, but seeing somebody else run the offense and saying, okay, so now I can see the routes differently, or now I can see the pass protection differently, or now I can see things differently. And then him being able to use that when he comes back into the game. Because I mean, make no mistake, make no doubt about it. If Spags doesn't change that defense in the third quarter and just keep sending the house at CJ, if he let's just say this, if he even just takes it up a notch, just a tad bit differently, not going to the extreme by blitzing on multiple plays, but even if he just tries to keep his players in better coverage, or does something differently than what he does in the first half, CJ destroys him in the second half. CJ was well on his way to having a 300-yard passing game, probably 300 yards, multiple touchdowns. But Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, is smart. So what did he do? He said, hey, man, look, I can't, because if I do, CJ is going to pick me apart. He's going to tear my defense to shreds. And then they lost McDuffie to an ankle injury, and you got to find some way. And that's why you didn't see that's why you didn't see Nico as effective as he was in the second half as he was in the first half, because they double teamed and they even triple teamed him every time the Houston Texans were on offense. Go back and look at some of those plays. For those of you all who have all 22, go back or watch the replays. I mean, rewatch the game. Go back and look at in the second half what they were doing. So because they didn't want CJ to see a true double team when he first got to the line, the way that they tried to disguise it. But of course, CJ already knew, hey man, they're bracketing him. And I know that they are. And no matter what's going on here, I know that they're trying to take Nico out of the game. That's where I want to see some evolvement in the Texans offensive play calling. Because if you're going to take Nico out of the game, let me find some creative ways to be able to get my other wide receivers and tight ends and running backs involved into the game. Hey, look, if I got Nico lined up on the left side and you're going to try to take him out of the game, cool. I'm going to use him as a decoy. Fine. You're going to double him or triple team him, then that means that you don't have players that can cover everybody. All right, so you want to do that? Hey, let me send Nico on a fly route. Let me bring Jaden Higgins in motion, right? Let me bring Jaden Higgins in motion to the side that has Dalton Schultz at the tight end position, has Nico out wide. And let me bring either Jaden Higgins or Xavier Hutchinson in motion. Keep Christian Kirk one-on-one with whoever's on the other side. Hey, I'm going to bring him in motion. And as soon as he clears Dalton Schultz, I'm going to send Nico on a go route. That's going to take at least two defenders. I'm going to hike the ball, and I'm going to bring Higgins or Hutchinson right behind Nico here, and I'm gonna dink and dunk you to death up the field until you make the change. So if I'm bringing him here, as soon as the ball go, bam, I'm bringing Hutch or Higgins right where Nico just took off from, and I'm also bringing Dalton Schultz underneath. Once Nico clears, I'm bringing Dalton behind him, and I'm going to have another wide receiver under him where you're giving CJ two options to be able to get the ball out of his hands, quickly, but also make that defense adjust. And then guess what I'm doing? Okay, I'm going to run it to the other side, and I'm going to keep running those plays until Spags gets out of blitzing me so much. And I know it's easy for me to say from this side. I'm not an offensive coordinator, I've never been an offensive coordinator. But those are the type of things that I'm looking at. If I'm and I'm gonna be honest with you. Let's just say I'm playing Madden and I'm playing against somebody who likes to blitz a lot. And I'm telling you this, it's funny because I won a back in the day a George Foreman grill in a Madden tournament doing this exact same thing. Playing against somebody who loved to in the championship game, love to blitz, love to blitz, love to blitz. Oh, well, that's cool. Just bring my wide receiver in motion. As soon as he cleared the tight end, I'd hike the ball. By the time he got into the flats, the defense couldn't adjust. Bam. What? You do that? Cool. I'll flip the play. I run it to the other side, and I would dink and dunk your ass until you got up out of that, until you got out of blitzing me. Now I'm going to run my offense. If you're going to keep blitzing me like that, watch what I do. So, with that being said, I would like to see some more of that creative type of offensive play calling from the Houston Texans, because there's going to be teams that are going to try to use that same blueprint that Spags used against the Texans and blitz CJ Stroud on multiple occasions. And so that's why I asked D'Amico Ryans on Monday during our Zoom call about that, about what did you learn, or what did you and Nick Caley learn from what Spags was doing to you all by bringing that amount of pressure in the third quarter. And I think I even asked him about the offense stalling on Sunday night after the game. I think I asked him about the offense stalling in the second half. Woo! All right. Let me see if I got some other. What's up, Texas Tangent? Let's see. No problem. Thank you for reporting facts, and I just trying to get clickbait hot takes. Appreciate that, Showtime. Hey, J Rock, I don't. What do you mean? Any comments on Coach Popovich? You gotta elaborate on that for me. Let me see. He doesn't have to play hero ball now, but he can still. This is X factor build and still incorporate him. More manageable style is give and take. Love how he threw the ball away more versus the Chiefs. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Yep. Exactly, Senior Boblé. Exactly. Blast Off Entertainment said CJ having that concussion was great for his experience because he was able to sit and watch Mills come in and manage the game, and now he knows with our defense he could do the same. That is an excellent take. That is an excellent take. And seeing that now, I see why you said this. He doesn't have to try to play hero ball now. He can still use his X factor ability and still incorporate a more manager style. That makes so much sense. Blast off that facts. That's a very good take as well. I don't know if Davis could have won this game either with the amount. Like some of the plays that CJ made in that second half, he had to make them. Let me see. Uh, Certified Texan, what's going on? Yeah. Let's see. Twisted Conversation says, I think Mills has developed into a good NFL quarterback. He would be better than a few starters out there. He's just, yeah, that is a great take. That is a great take because, like, right now, the Colts could use a Davis Mills. The Indianapolis Colts could definitely use a Davis Mills. I would go so much as to say that the Cleveland Browns, if they're honestly and truly trying to develop Shador Sanders, like Davis Mills would have been good up there. But I mean, here they're getting ready to get Deshaun Watson back. So we'll see how that plays out. But they definitely could use the hold on. Let me write this down. One. Uh the Las Vegas Raiders could definitely use Davis Mills. They definitely could use the New Orleans Saints could use Davis Mills. Let me see who else. The New York Jets could use a Davis Mills. Uh, trying to think of some other teams. Trying to think of some other teams that could use a Davis Mills. Y'all drop it in the comment. Drop it in the comments. Drop it in the chat. Uh exactly. Nico had 4 receptions for 120 yards at halftime. He didn't have another catch. Spags was like, hell no, they would have to beat us with someone else. Yes, and you know it's so crazy. I think I started off by saying this, how they were doubling him in the ways that they were, because Nico was here, they had a defender here, and then what they tried to do was, you know, play cat and mouse games with the safety. So sometimes they'll bring the safety down to try to give CJ a look of he has one-on-one, and then right before the ball was snapped, they would shoot the safety back up top so they could have double coverage on Nico. But CJ is too smart of a quarterback for not to know that they weren't going to bracket him like that. They bracketed him the entire game. And with that being said, when you look at it, CJ also, I mean, I'm sorry, Nico also told me after the game that not only were they doubling him using the cornerback and the safety, he said sometimes they were dropping the defensive end back into the passing lane where Nico was. Nico said, when him and I was talking about this, Nico said, I was coming out there and I was lining up, and he said he seen the defensive back in front of him. He said he seen the safety come down, and he knew that he was gonna come up. And then Nico was like, "Hey, I see you, bruh." And so he said, and on some plays I also turned and like, I see you too. Because he said that he could tell by the way that the defensive end was positioned that as soon as the ball was snapped, he was going to drop in coverage. He could see the telltale sign. And so that's why I said, hey, bro, I see you. And I see you too. He said, you know, they were triple teaming me sometimes. So, yeah. Hold on. No, I'm not on P. I don't have a PS5. You think we move on from? Actually, I don't, Romanus. What's going on? I don't think that they move on. So this is gonna sound crazy to you all. I don't think that they're gonna move on from Kaylee because you don't want to put your quarterback into a third offensive system in 4 years. Because you know what happens? Let me go ahead and put this out. Let me see something. Hey Siri, how many offensive coordinators have the Philadelphia Eagles had since Jalen Hurts was quarterback? Oh, my bad. You want to know why I asked that, right? Pull on up for me. Come on, come on, come on. Uh, where is it at? So I'm reading this article, LeeValleyLive.com. It's another transition year for Jalen Hurts with the Eagles bringing in a new, and this article is from May 23rd, 2025. It's another transition year for Jalen Hurts with the Eagles bringing in a new offense coordinator and quarterbacks coach. For Hurts, this has become an annual routine. For those of you all scoring at home, this is Hurts' sixth different play caller and fifth different quarterbacks coach since he was drafted by the Eagles in 2020. Now, you ask me why, Sarge, why are you bringing up Jalen Hurts? Well, I don't know how many of you all watch the Monday night game between the Eagles and the Chargers. And I don't know how many of you all have been watching just the Eagles this season. A lot of their troubles, and it's just me. Now we're not even getting that. Now we're not even in the Texans talk. This is how I do it. I got some. I may have a big announcement coming up for you all at the beginning of the year about sports talk with Big Sarge. But with that being said, we're in our sports talk with Big Sarge kind of segment, right? So one of the reasons and the issues that you see with the Eagles offense is not because Jalen Hurts isn't a good quarterback. It's not because uh AJ Brown. It's not because of Devonta Smith. It's not because of Saquon Barkley. It's because they are in another offensive system that is going to take some use. Like they're still learning and adapting and adjusting. Same way the Houston Texans are. But it looks bad because they haven't adjusted just yet with all that talent. Like with all that talent, a lot of analysts would think that, hey, man, doesn't matter who's calling the plays, you have the talent to be able to execute these plays. And that's just not how that works. Like it takes some time. It takes some time, and especially when you're playing against coordinators who can adjust to the talent that you have and saying, okay, so now we need the scheme and the system to beat us. Year one of Bobby Slowick as offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans had a lot to do with the fact that CJ Stroud is just who he is. Year two, when the defensive coordinators made the necessary adjustments for the talent of CJ Stroud and for the talent of a Nico Collins and for the talent of a Joe Mixon. Now it's about X's and O's and can you scheme up a way to beat me? And when you look at the Eagles, Jalen Hurts is trying to run this offense, and he's going to always take the blame. He's not going to put he doesn't make excuses. He's not going to put the blame on anyone else. But it's like, hey man, look, like go back and you watch some of the Eagles plays, watch some of the Eagles route concepts, and you'll see that like this is a basic elementary type offense. You're not beating anybody, any defensive coordinator. You can't beat anybody with running those basic element plays. You can get through it maybe the first 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 weeks. You can surprise some people because the defense coordinators haven't seen that type of scheme. But once they get adjusted, once they have enough on tape, once they have 4 games on tape, now they make the necessary adjustments. That's why in year 2 of Bobby Slowick, they were able to make the necessary adjustments. And so you hold on. So when you look at when you ask me about them getting rid of Nick Haley at the end of the season, right? If you're going to do that, right, the only way I see them getting rid of Nick Haley and putting CJ Stroud in another offensive system, his third offensive system in 4 years, you're going to have to get somebody. You're going to have to get an experienced play caller with a proven track record. Like, let's just say Mike McDaniels, right? If you're gonna look at if the Dolphins were going to get rid of Mike McDaniels, which is highly unlikely now. There was an opportunity, I guess, in the middle of the season for them to fire him, but I think he stuck with it. And I think the Dolphins have won 4 games in a row. Or yeah, I think they've won. I think the Dolphins have won 4 games in a row, if I'm not mistaken. But they've gotten a whole lot better. Mike McDaniel's job is probably pretty much secure. You could bring in Dayball, the former New York Giants head coach, but do you want somebody that's going to be on your staff that has aspirations of going back to being head coach? And how long will you have him? If he comes in and he makes that Texans offense successful, then you lose him, right? What's the offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks? I really like the way that he calls play. I can't think of his name right now. And the Texans had an opportunity to get him. Is it Kubiak? Is that Kubiak's son? Is that his name, Shane Kubiak? I can't think of his name. What's his name, y'all? Y'all tell me the offensive coordinator's name for the Seattle Seahawks. Like it could have had him, and they let him slip through their fingers. If the Clint Kubiak, okay, Shane, Clint Kubiak, thank you, I appreciate it. They let him slip through their fingers. You don't want Chip Kelly. I don't know if the Vikings are ready to make a change, and if they get rid of Kevin O'Connell, which I doubt, but if they get rid of Kevin O'Connell, he would be a good offensive coordinator for them. I think someone, in the chat said Kevin Stefanski's. So my mama, God rest her soul, said, "Hey man, if you ain't got nothing good to say about somebody, don't say nothing at all." Well, mama, I'm sorry. You just gonna have to, make me trip while I'm walking or something. Let me get on this rant real quick in this tangent, and then I'm out of here. Let me preface my statement by saying this: no, I do not want another offensive coordinator, especially not another first-year offensive coordinator in here. If you're going to stick with Kaylee, give him an opportunity. There has been some flashes this season on some very, very good play calling. And he's taking his lumps, he's taking his bruises, and I don't know about pushing him right out the door after year one when he's just not getting his feet wet, and giving him getting that 1 year of experience under his belt and giving him another opportunity, unless you have a proven offensive coordinator who's going to stay here at least 2 or 3 years, with CJ, because they're going to have to pay CJ a lot. They're going to have to pay CJ a lot of money. So with that being said, right, Kevin Stefanski, and then I'm out of here. I'm not a Kevin Stefanski fan. I'm not a Kevin Stefanski fan at all. This season, especially. I mean, I think that we were talking about this on the Texans Cookout podcast last night with myself, Chancellor Johnson, Jonathan Alexander, and DJ Bieneme. We were talking about Coach of the Year considerations. And I said that I think that DeMeco Ryans, if the Texans win out and win 9 games in the season on a 9-game winning streak and win the AFC South, get in the playoffs with the way that they started this season at 0-3 and the way that they finished the season, he should be given some Coach of the Year considerations. And of course, there was a difference of opinion. They think that Mike Vrabel, and even if Mike Vrabel get it, I don't have an issue with that. I think that if he does get it, if he leads, if they win the AFC East, what he did with that New England Patriots team this season, that he deserves a lot of consideration for coach of the year, but I also feel that D'Amico does as well if they end the season, on a 9-game winning streak, if they win the division and they, make it to the playoffs, that after that horrible 0-3 start where you didn't think that the Texans had an opportunity or a chance to get into the playoffs or even be considered for the playoffs after everybody had written them off after 0-3 for the way that they ended up. It's another story for another time. You asked me why I'm bringing up coach of the year, because in 2023, even though it was only by one vote, D'Amico Ryans was robbed of the coach of the year award, and it was given to Kevin Stefanski. And I just want to know, like, what did Stefanski do that year, and what has he done after that that people can call him a good head coach? And people can still look back, even on 2023, right? Because I brought this point up on that show in 2023, right? When he won coach of the year, a lot of consideration went into how they beat the Texans in the regular season. And my whole thing was, but you beat them without CJ Stroud. Let me get into this game. Let me look into this game real quick, y'all, because I want to make sure that that was 2023. As I want to make sure that I got this thing the right. And I need to find it the week. So in week 16, right? In week 16, when they beat the Texans 36-22, that's the when Amari Cooper went off. He had 11 receptions, 265 yards, 2 touchdowns. Right? And CJ Stroud didn't even play in that game. CJ Stroud plays in that game. Texans beat them. CJ Stroud plays in that game. The Texans beat them. That score doesn't look like it did in that game. And the score isn't indicative of how it looked like the Browns was just, and they were on this day, the Browns were just the better team. But that was without CJ Stroud. So, as fate would have it, as the gods would have it, played them in week 16, had to turn right back around and play the Cleveland Browns in the AFC wildcard game that year. Led by that same coach of the year, this time under different circumstances with CJ Stroud in the game, the Texans won 45-14. CJ Stroud had 275 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. 45-14. 45. Let me see something. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. 45-14. So, James, the reason why, and like I said before, we're talking about it. James wants to know why we're talking about Stefanski. Because someone put in the chat that if they let Nick Caley go, as offensive coordinator for the Texans, and the Browns fired Kevin Stefanski, would you want Kevin Stefanski here for the offensive coordinator position? And I'm saying no. I just don't think that Kevin Stefanski has. I'm not a firm believer in Kevin Stefanski, but he may be different as an offensive coordinator. But he still hasn't. I wouldn't bring him in to call plays. I would give Nick Caley another opportunity. Plus, I just don't like the way Kevin Stefanski has moved. And, by winning that, since he's won Coach of the Year in 2023, what has he done since then? Like, I know that I'm not the only one watching the debacle of what he's doing in Cleveland, what he did with the Dylan Gabriel, Shadur Sanders quarterback situation. I'm not a firm believer in Kevin Stefanski, y'all. So I don't know if I would want him. And this is just me talking as Big Sarge, not as what the Texans organization would do if they let go of Kaylee. But if you're going to bring in Stefanski, another person who is probably going to have dreams, goals, and aspirations of being a head coach again, I just don't see it. I say that you stick with what you have right now with Nick Caley. You give CJ another opportunity to get acclimated to this Nick Caley's offense, and you go from there. You don't bring in. I wouldn't bring in anybody new unless they were proven. And even then, I'm still saying to myself, well, we've already gotten. We got CJ used to being with Bobby for 2 years, and then we got rid of Bobby. We can't get rid of our offense coordinator after 1 year, and now we're looking all over again at Dick Caley's. Looking to replace and put in another offensive coordinator, putting CJ Stroud in his third offensive system in 4 years. And just like I said earlier, with Jalen Hurts, like a lot of people talk about him as far as being a quarterback, but he's been in 6 different offensive systems and had 5 different quarterback coaches. And that's just a lot. Now, with that being said, right? With that being said, I will say this and then I'll get up out of here. I don't. Yeah, this one is going to be what people consider a hot take, and they probably going to clip this up. But I'm good with that. I'm good. I'm good with that. So I think that Nick Caley's system can really work if Casario and D'Amico go out and put the right protection. Put the right protection in front of CJ. Get CJ at least 2 more offensive linemen in the game. If you're going to establish that you want CJ's blind side to be protected by Titus Howard and Ariante Ursery, then you've solidified the left side of the line, and now you need to work on the right side. If you're going to bring Ed Ingram back, okay, cool. But if you're going to bring Ed Ingram back, then you damn sure got to go out and find a good right tackle, because I don't know how much Trent Brown has left in the tank, but you go out and you get a right tackle and you look at bringing in another center. Like the most immediate need for the Houston Texans right now is the center position and right tackle. That's only if you're going to stick with this lineup of having Titus and Ariante on the left side. Now, you may already have your right tackle. Excuse me, y'all. I know this is unprofessional, but my back is itching. You might already have your right tackle in Blake Fisher. You may be able to get Blake Fisher to play the way you need him to play. Maybe this year of him being able to sit back and watch, but also being involved in the offense by bringing him in as an eligible receiver, as an extra blocker, for the running backs, and an extra protector for CJ. I mean, you may have your right tackle in training and bring him in. And so if there isn't just somebody that you can get that's going to blow you away coming out of college, if there's not somebody that you can draft, or if there's not anybody that you can acquire in free agency, then maybe you use Blake Fisher right there now, with him getting another year under his belt and him knowing what it's going to take now in order to be a starter in the NFL. And then you put him right there. Maybe you can get Juice Scruggs to at that center position, put him at center and see what he's able to do. But I think that Nick Caley system, that Nick Caley offense can work if you bring in and have the right type of offensive line protection for CJ Stroud. And because it works, like there's a lot of Sean McVay and the Rams offensive scheme. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that DNA in that Texans offense. And one of the reasons why it works so well for the Rams is because Matthew Stafford gets enough time to be able to get the ball to Puka Nacua. He gets enough time to get the ball to Devontae Adams. And he has enough time, and Sean McVay knows exactly how long it's going to take to get him to get the ball out of his hands. And so he draws up those plays and he schemes those plays to the T, knowing exactly how much protection he has. So if you get CJ just a little bit more time, I think that you could see that Texans offense under Nick Caley take another step, move forward to where they want to be. And you get another year of Jaden Higgins. Jalen Noel is in there to go along with Nico Collins, to go along with Xavier Hutchinson. Like, I think that you can get, if you get that, get better line protection for CJ, that Nick Caley offense in his second year can work. But that's just me. That's just me. That's just me. No disrespect to Schultz, but Texans haven't had an elite tight end since Owen Daniels. But kudos to Schultz, who has been blocking and playing better overall. Yeah, he has. I could see either another tight end or maybe Cade Stover being involved more and more in the involved in the offense now that he's back, and see what he can do later on. But yeah, so if you're asking me, unless there's an offensive coordinator out there that you just can't live without, an experienced offensive coordinator that you just cannot live without, then I'm not doing it. I wouldn't bring in another first year offensive coordinator. I would just say, hey, look, we're going to stick with Caley, and we're going to get CJ better protection up front, and then just go from there. Woo! Appreciate it, front runner. Want to give a big shout out to Zero for letting up on tackling 15 on the sideline and avoid any possible penalty. They told me the boys came in with a different mindset. Yeah, and D'Amico preached all week long. Hey, look, if he's running toward the sideline, let him have the sideline. Hey, if that's an extra 1 or 2 yards, it doesn't matter. I'd rather give up those 1 or 2 yards than to give up 15 on the unnecessary roughness. If he's walking over that way, if he's moving towards that way, he has no other way to go. He cannot escape. Let him have it. That's why they did that. Oh, my goodness. Whew. Y'all, this has been amazing. It feels so good to be back. Wouldn't you agree? Hold on. Let me see. That O-line has to be corrected as long as the franchise is waiting for a quarterback. It's a slap in the face to the fans to not have him protected. Facts. I can't argue with you on that. I cannot. Ooh. I was only supposed to be on here an hour. I've been on here damn near 2 hours. I missed y'all. What I really can't wait for is at Texans happy hour. And it may happen today. Once again, I have to go to a community event for Houston Rockets forward Jabari Smith Jr. But after I get back from that, feed my wife, and we may be able to have a drink or two. Let me see. Yeah, that's what this whole thing was about. Yeah, we may have us a drink or two. Y'all, yeah, hey, look, hey. Y'all hit me up on social media and let me know if y'all want to do a Texas happy hour tonight. Let me know if 8:30 is not too late for you all to have a drink. To be sipping. No, do not do that though, because you won't. Maybe tonight. I mean, maybe when we do the Texas happy hour, whenever we have it, I'll tell you how I was prescribed that double cup juice for my bronchitis and the coughing. All I can say is, in the city of Serb, we like the jam music slow. You've been tuned into Sports Talk with Big Sarge. I'm your host, Big Sarge. Make sure you follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports Z at the end. Follow me on the tick and the talk at Big Sarge Media. Make sure you are subscribed to the Texas Tailgate Talk, all one word, Texas Tailgate Talk show on YouTube, and follow me at Big Sarge Media on YouTube for Sports Talk with Big Sarge. And make sure you follow me on Instagram at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. Because you know we do everything for the gram. Big Sarge. Wait a minute. Hold on. 8:30. We can even do 9:30. All right. Set it up, Sarge. All right. So y'all saying y'all don't mind having a little late night drink? Why, yes, I was. Big Sarge, I'm out. Big Sarge.